Hello and welcome to this training. In this video, we're going to discuss why setting expectations is the most important conversation that you can have to support your team's success. It's the conversation that's going to keep your team focused on the activities that are going to really impact their performance, and it's the conversation that will keep them working on their skills development, helping them to become even better recruiters. And as their manager, it's really going to help you to understand what support you need to be able to provide every day that's going to help them to succeed. So the first thing that I really want you to consider is that setting expectations is a two-way conversation where you both agree and align on what needs to be done. So what do we need to be setting expectations against? Well, most recruiters are acutely aware of their performance expectations and specifically around their KPIs and activities and also their revenue targets. However, what I find is that a lot of managers fail to discuss the other areas that can have a real difference on performance. And those things are an individual's development and the behaviors that really underpin how they do their job day to day. So as the manager, you really want to be finding ways to help your team to improve, okay? And you want to be setting specific expectations that relate to that. So how do we do that? Okay, and so to do this, what I'd love for you to do is to think about one particular person within your team, just so that you have a real reference point for this particular exercise. Now that can be one of your junior consultants or it might be somebody a little bit more senior. It doesn't really matter, just choose one person. And what I want you to do is to think about the expectations that you have for that person in respect of their performance, okay? In respect of their development, that's to say, what areas of the recruitment process could they focus on that's going to really help them to improve how they recruit day to day? So for example, it could be their client control, it could be how they qualify jobs, how they qualify candidates, it could be how they negotiate deals. What is that one thing that if they worked on that's going to really support them to be better at their job day to day? And then the third thing is, what is that behavioral expectation that you have of them? So what is that behavior that you've noticed in them that they could improve upon that's going to help them to be a better teammate, to be better at their job, or whatever that might be? So just to kind of give you some examples on that, it might be how they manage up as an example. It could be how they take responsibility, how proactive they are in their job, how respectful they are of their peers, and so on and so forth. And you know that if they worked on that thing, it's probably going to help them day to day in their role. So just pause this video, just give yourself a couple of minutes to really consider your thoughts and define what those expectations are around those three key areas. Okay, now the key to really working with these expectations is to sit down with the individuals in your team and really invest the time to have a meaningful two-way conversation about them. Now, your one-to-ones are probably a really good platform and opportunity to do that. And in those conversations, you really want to get aligned on what those specifics look like, what success looks like, and how they're going to achieve that. So, for example, you might want somebody on your team to really focus on their business development next week. So the expectation is around business development. But what does success look like in respect of that? Is it the number of calls they make, or is it how many jobs that they pick up? And then how are they actually going to fulfill that particular action? Do they need to put time in the diary to be able to do that? Or do they need to work with some call scripts? What is the thing that they need to do that's going to really help them to deliver on that business development expectation that you have? Okay. And then through that conversation, you want to be identifying what are the obstacles that are going to get in the way of them being successful with that particular activity. And with that in mind, try to find your opportunities to support them. Like, give them the resources, give them the knowledge, give them the time, give them the support that they need to be able to deliver against that expectation. Okay, and we'll talk about that specifically shortly. So I just kind of want to remind you that as the manager, your job really is to help your team to be successful. Okay, and you're only going to be able to understand what support you need to be able to help them with if you have a big conversation with them. So really invest that time in exploring those expectations with your team. So as you go through that process, if you're really struggling to define what those things are, if you're finding that those expectations are still fairly intangible, the SMART framework might really help you to do that, to get clarity, okay? Or it might even help you to prepare your message and to create a really tangible expectation, okay? So just explore each area of the SMART framework and it might help you to define that. And on this page here, I've prepared some questions against each element of SMART that should really help you. So what I recommend you doing is taking each of your expectations and running through these questions with that expectation in your mind, and it will really help you either to prepare to have the conversation and to create some accountability with the people in your team. Okay. If you want to do that now, again, press pause on the video and just give that a go. And I'd be really interested to know how you've now defined that expectation. So the final thing that I really want to discuss with you is around stretched objectives, both in a positive way and a negative way. Okay, so in a positive way, there'll be some things that we ask of our team that sits within their comfort zone. Okay, that's to say that they really understand what they need to do and how they're going to get there, and they're going to invest time in doing that, and they know exactly what they need to do, and that's kind of great, because you can get some predictable results from that. But from time to time, things can stagnate when people are operating within the comfort zone. So we want to find our opportunities to stretch that performance a little bit and just set them an ambitious target in respect of that and set an expectation to help them achieve that. But the problem is when you take somebody out of their comfort zone, you might need to offer them some additional support. They may need additional training. They might need some additional resources. They might need to lean on your experience. So they might need something extra to help lift that performance. So your job as the manager is to really explore that with them and give them what they need to do that. Okay. Conversely, on the negative side, you may be setting these ambitious expectations of your team, and it might put them into this panic space. And you'll know whether somebody's in the panic zone because they'll be really stressed about the activity that they have to do. And the reason they may be stressed is because it might be that they lack confidence with that particular thing. They may not know how to do that job. They may lack the time, so they're time poor. And so they're not really going to be delivering a high level of performance when it comes to that. And again, by having a great conversation with your team, you'll understand whether that expectation sits within the panic zone or not. Again, you want to be pulling them down into that performance zone. And the way to do that is to really offer that support, give them that training, give them that knowledge, give them that expertise that they don't have currently that's going to allow them to be successful with that expectation. Okay. So expectations may fall within different performance zones for different people. And the only way that you're going to know if what you're asking is a stretch too far is by having a meaningful conversation with somebody. So really invest that time with your team. Okay. And just finally, I really would invite you to try and take some action with this. So really explore these 4 points on this slide. Again, pause and just try and complete them today if you really want to, or write them down and try to fulfill them at another time. But really practice what we've spoken about today. And the more that you can practice having these meaningful, deep conversations around expectations, I know that you're going to really help your team to succeed to an even greater level. Okay. So that's it for this video. I just want to say thank you for your time, and I'm sure I'll see you again. Thank you.